My beloved child, pause here for a moment, because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you have been looking at the woman connected to your heart. You thought she was single. You believed the hesitation, the emotional distance, the moments when she suddenly became unavailable were signs of fear, confusion, or uncertainty about the connection between you. You may have wondered why she could look at you with so much emotion one moment and then become impossible to understand the next. You may have asked yourself why she never fully allowed you into certain parts of her life, why there were times when communication suddenly stopped, or why she seemed to carry a secret whenever the conversation became too serious. And perhaps you kept telling yourself, she is afraid of love. She needs time. Maybe she has been hurt before. But my beloved child, in this cinematic spiritual reflection, imagine that the truth is far more complicated than anything you prepared yourself to hear. She was not simply protecting her heart. She was protecting a secret. A secret that could change everything you believed about why she kept pulling away. The woman you thought was completely free to choose this connection is already married. Before your heart reacts, listen carefully, because the truth is not as simple as one shocking sentence. There are details you do not know. There are choices she regrets. There are reasons she became silent whenever you spoke about the future. And there is something about her marriage she has been terrified to tell you because she knows the moment the truth reaches you, you may look at every conversation between you differently. Your soulmate has known for some time that this secret could not remain hidden forever. Every time you became closer, the pressure increased. Every time you asked a simple question about her life, she had to decide how much truth she could safely reveal. Every time you spoke about possibilities between you, guilt appeared. My child, there were moments when she almost told you. She would begin a sentence. There is something about my life you don't know. Then she would stop. You might have noticed the hesitation. Perhaps you asked, "What is it?" She smiled. Nothing. But it was not nothing. Something enormous was sitting behind that smile. The truth was that she had entered your life carrying a commitment you knew nothing about. And strangely, the fact that she developed feelings for you did not make revealing the truth easier. It made it harder. Because at first, she thought whatever existed between you would remain harmless. A conversation. A friendship. A connection she could control. She told herself, "I won't let this become anything." Then she started thinking about you when you were not around. She began looking forward to hearing from you. She remembered details about things you said. She noticed herself wanting your opinion. And suddenly the emotional boundaries she believed she could maintain were beginning to disappear. That frightened her. My beloved child, this may explain moments when she became distant immediately after emotional closeness. You may have thought, "Did I say something wrong?" But she was thinking, "What am I doing?" She would replay your conversation and feel two completely different emotions. Joy because of how understood she felt with you. Guilt because she knew there was something you did not know. She started trying to reduce the connection. Shorter conversations. More distance. Fewer vulnerable moments. But then she missed you. And the cycle began again. Close. Afraid. Distance. Missing you. Return. My child, you saw inconsistency. She was living a conflict. That does not make hiding a marriage fair. And somewhere inside, she knows that. Her reasons may explain the fear. They do not erase your right to truth. This is exactly what has been haunting her. Because your soulmate knows you have been making emotional decisions without having all the information. You may have interpreted her behavior through the assumption that she was free. She was not. And there is a part of her that feels deeply ashamed that she allowed you to become emotionally invested without giving you the truth necessary to decide whether this was something you wanted to be part of. Recently, someone close to her confronted her about it. They asked, "How long are you going to keep this hidden?" Your soulmate immediately became defensive. "I haven't done anything." The person looked at her carefully. "Maybe not physically. But that's not what I'm asking." Silence. "You have feelings for them." Your soulmate looked away. She did not answer. The other person continued. "Do they know you're married?" My beloved child, your soulmate's face changed. "No." There it was. The secret spoken aloud. The person asked, "Why haven't you told them?" Your soulmate gave the first explanation that came to mind. "It's complicated." But the person refused to accept it. Your marriage can be complicated. The truth isn't. Those words stayed with her. Your marriage can be complicated. The truth isn't. My child, your soulmate has been using the complexity of her situation to postpone a simple act of honesty. Perhaps the marriage has been emotionally distant for a long time. Perhaps she and her spouse have been living like strangers. Perhaps separation has been discussed privately. Perhaps the relationship exists legally while emotionally it has already been falling apart. There may be many details. But none of those details change one basic reality. You did not know. The person close to her said. If they mean what you say they mean to you, they deserve to know before this goes any further. Your soulmate's eyes filled. I know. Then tell them. She whispered. I'll lose them. My beloved child, that was the fear beneath everything. Not simply judgment. Loss. She believes the moment you discover the truth, you may disappear. You may feel betrayed. You may question whether anything she told you was real. You may wonder. What else don't I know? And she knows those questions would be fair. That is why she kept delaying the confession. She told herself she needed to fix her marriage situation first. Then she would tell you. But life refused to wait for her perfect solution. Your connection kept becoming deeper. And with every day, the secret became heavier. My child, there was one night when she sat alone and opened your messages. You had written something kind. Something simple. Perhaps. I trust you. She stared at those words. Trust. That word broke something inside her. Because she knew you trusted a version of her life that was incomplete. She wanted to respond. Instead, she began crying. Not because she wanted sympathy. Because she suddenly understood what would happen if you discovered the truth from someone else. She imagined you reading a message, seeing a photograph, hearing her husband's name, discovering a detail accidentally. The thought terrified her. And that was when she decided, I have to tell them myself. But courage disappeared when morning arrived. She delayed again. My beloved child, then something happened that made the situation more urgent. Someone saw the two of you together. Nothing dramatic may have happened. Perhaps you were simply talking. But this person knew your soulmate. They knew she was married. And they noticed the emotional connection. Later they confronted her. Does that person know? Your soulmate went silent. The answer was obvious. The person warned. You need to tell them before someone else does. Now the secret was no longer safely contained inside her private world. Someone else knew. The possibility of you discovering everything unexpectedly became real. That night your soulmate could barely settle her thoughts. She opened your conversation. Typed. Can we talk about something serious? Deleted. Then. I haven't been completely honest with you. Deleted. Then. There is something you deserve to know about me. She stared at the words. This time she kept them. But she could not press send. Because she began imagining your response. What is it? And then she would have to say it. I am married. 3 words. 3 words capable of changing everything. My child, she put the phone down. Then picked it up again. She walked around the room. Her mind started creating excuses. Maybe I should explain the marriage first. Maybe I should wait until I can talk face to face. Maybe I need to resolve everything at home before involving them. But another voice answered. You have already involved them emotionally. That was the truth she could not escape. She may have carefully avoided labels. She may have avoided physical boundaries. She may have told herself nothing official existed between you. But feelings existed. And she knew you felt something too. That meant the truth mattered. My beloved child, here is another part you may not expect. Her marriage may not be what people imagine from the outside. There may be photographs, a legal title, a shared history, perhaps responsibilities tying their lives together. But inside the relationship, something has been broken for longer than you realize. That does not automatically mean the marriage is over. It does not mean she is free. And it does not mean you should ignore the reality because her feelings for you seem powerful. Your soulmate herself is finally understanding this. She cannot ask you to become the escape from a marriage she has not honestly confronted. She cannot build something truthful with you while keeping you inside a secret. And recently, she asked herself, if I genuinely love this person, why am I making them participate in something they did not consent to? That question changed her. My child, she realized that love cannot be used as an excuse for secrecy. If she loves you, your choices matter. And you cannot make an informed choice without the truth. So she began preparing to tell you. But before she could, something happened inside her marriage. Her husband noticed something. Not necessarily you. A change in her. She was distracted. Quieter. Emotionally distant. He asked, "Is something going on?" She answered, "No." He watched her carefully. "Are you sure?" "Yes." Another lie. My beloved child, she immediately hated herself for it. Because suddenly she realized she was hiding truth on both sides. Her husband did not know the full emotional reality. You did not know she had a husband. And she was standing in the middle trying to stop two worlds from colliding. But they were already moving toward each other. That evening, her husband asked another question. "Are you unhappy?" Your soulmate froze. This question was different. She could avoid talking about you. But could she honestly deny the condition of her marriage? She sat quietly. Her husband understood the silence. "How long?" she asked. "How long what?" "How long have you been unhappy?" My child, something inside her shifted. Perhaps for the first time, she began speaking honestly about the marriage itself. Not about you. About them. She explained that she had felt emotionally disconnected for a long time. That conversations had become mechanical. That something essential had disappeared. Her husband listened. There was pain. There were difficult questions. But eventually he asked, "Is there someone else?" My beloved child, everything stopped. This was the question. She could lie again. Or the truth could finally begin. She said, "There is someone I have feelings for." Her husband's expression changed. He looked away. Silence filled the room. Then, "Did you cheat on me?" She answered, "No." "Do they know you're married?" Your soulmate's eyes lowered. "No." Even her husband seemed surprised. "They don't know?" "No." My child, imagine the weight of that moment. The truth she had been hiding from you was now being discussed inside her marriage. Her husband asked, "Then what exactly do they think this is?" Your soulmate had no answer. Because she did not know what you believed anymore. Perhaps you believed she was afraid of commitment. Perhaps you thought she was recovering from a previous relationship. Perhaps you thought circumstances were simply complicated. You did not know the real complication. Her husband said something she did not expect. "You need to tell them." Your soulmate looked up. "What?" "If they have feelings for you and they don't know you're married, you need to tell them." My beloved child, hearing this from the person she was married to shocked her. It removed another excuse. Everyone was telling her the same thing. Truth. She asked, "What about us?" Her husband became quiet. That is a separate conversation. And those words were important. Your soulmate could no longer make you responsible for whether her marriage survived. She needed to confront that relationship based on what was true between her and her husband, not use you as the reason to stay or leave. My child, she understood. That night she cried. Because everything was becoming real. She could lose her marriage. She could lose you. She could potentially lose both. And for the first time, there was nowhere left to hide. My beloved child, she opened your conversation once more. She typed. There is something about me I should have told you before we ever became this close. She kept it. Then. I am afraid that after you hear it, you may never want to speak to me again. She kept that too. Then she wrote. But you deserve the truth more than I deserve to control your reaction. Her hands were trembling. This was different. She was no longer trying to confess in a way guaranteed to keep you. She was choosing truth even if truth cost her access to you. Then came the sentence. I am married. She stared at it. The words looked impossible. She imagined your face. Your shock. Your questions. The way every confusing moment might suddenly rearrange itself in your memory. But she knew hiding another day would make everything worse. Her finger moved toward send. Then her phone rang. My child, she looked at the screen. It was the person who had previously seen the two of you together. She answered. What? The voice on the other end sounded nervous. You need to tell them now. Your soulmate's heart dropped. Why? There was a pause. Because I think someone already did. Everything inside her froze. What do you mean? The person explained that someone connected to her husband had apparently discovered enough to realize there was another emotional connection. Your soulmate immediately asked. Did they contact them? I don't know. Her hands began shaking. She ended the call. Opened your conversation. The confession remained unsent. I am married. She was seconds away from sending it. Then another notification appeared. Your name. My beloved child, her heart seemed to stop. You had messaged first. She opened it. Your message contained only 6 words. Is there something you're hiding from me? Your soulmate stared at the screen. You knew something. Maybe not everything. But enough. She typed. Yes. You immediately replied. Are you in a relationship? Your soulmate's eyes filled. This was the final doorway. She could no longer hide behind vague explanations. She wrote. It is more complicated than that. You responded. What does that mean? Her fingers trembled. She typed 2 words. I'm married. Delivered. Seen. And then silence. No response. 1 minute. 3. 5. Your soulmate stared at the screen while every fear she had been avoiding became real. Finally, the typing indicator appeared. Then disappeared. Appeared again. Your message came through. And my beloved child, what you asked was not. Do you love him? It was not. Are you leaving him? Your first question was far more painful. You wrote. How long were you going to let me believe you were single? Your soulmate broke down. Because suddenly the issue was not only her marriage. It was trust. She began typing an answer. But before she could send it, you wrote another message. And please don't tell me you hid it because you love me. If you love me, tell me the whole truth now. My child, your soulmate stared at those words. The whole truth. That meant she could no longer reveal only the parts that made her understandable. She would have to explain how long she had been married. What her husband knew. What really happened inside that marriage. When her feelings for you began. And most importantly, she would have to reveal something even you had not asked yet. Something about why she originally entered the marriage in the first place. A truth she had told almost nobody. And if she finally revealed it, you would discover that the marriage itself carried a secret far deeper than the fact that she had hidden it from you. My beloved child, your soulmate stared at your message for what felt like an eternity. If you love me, tell me the whole truth now. Those words left her nowhere to hide. For months, she had carefully separated different pieces of her life, believing she could somehow protect everyone by keeping those worlds apart. There was the marriage she rarely spoke about honestly. There was the connection with you that had become deeper than she ever intended. There was the fear that telling you the truth would make you disappear. And then there was the truth about why she had entered the marriage in the first place, a truth she had buried so deeply that even people closest to her did not completely understand it. But now you knew the most important fact. She was married. The secret was out. And strangely, my child, revealing it did not bring relief. It brought a new kind of fear, because your soulmate understood that saying, "I'm married," was only the beginning. You deserved to know how long. You deserved to know why she had hidden it. You deserved to know whether her husband knew about you. You deserved to know whether the feelings she expressed toward you had ever been genuine. Most of all, you deserved enough truth to decide for yourself whether you wanted anything more to do with her. Her hands trembled as she began typing. "Okay," she wrote. "No more half-truths. Ask me anything." Your response came quickly. "How long have you been married?" She answered. "Several years." The exact number shocked you. This was not something that happened recently. This marriage existed before your connection began. You stared at her answer before asking. "And during all the time we've known each other, you never thought I deserved to know?" Your soulmate felt the weight of the question. "I thought about telling you constantly." You replied. "But you didn't." "No." "Why?" My beloved child, this was where excuses would have been easy. She could blame the marriage. She could blame fear. She could tell you the situation was complicated. But you had already heard that word too many times. So she told you something simpler. "Because I was selfish." You paused. Perhaps you did not expect that. She continued. "I was afraid that if I told you, you'd leave before I had figured out what I was going to do with my marriage. And I didn't want to lose you." Your response came. "So you let me believe something that wasn't true because you wanted to keep me?" She closed her eyes. Yes. There it was. No beautiful explanation. No attempt to turn deception into destiny. She had been afraid of losing you, and fear had caused her to withhold information that could have changed your choices. My child, your soulmate understood that loving you did not make that decision acceptable. You asked, "Does your husband know about me?" She answered, "He knows there is someone I have feelings for." "Does he know it's me?" "No." "Why not?" "Because that conversation only happened recently." You became quiet. Then, "Did you tell him before you told me?" Your soulmate hated the answer. Yes. My beloved child, she knew exactly how that would feel. You were the person who had been left without the most basic information, yet her husband had learned there was another emotional connection before you learned there was a marriage. You responded, "So somehow I was the last person to know what was happening in my own connection." That sentence hurt her deeply. My own connection. You were right. Other people had information about something affecting your heart while you were making decisions in the dark. She typed, "I am sorry." You answered, "I need more than sorry right now." I know. Then explain. Your soulmate took a long breath. And finally she began telling you about the marriage. It had not started the way you imagined. There had once been affection, respect, hope. She had not entered it planning to become emotionally distant years later. But there had also been pressure surrounding the decision. Family expectations, timing, fear of disappointing people. A belief that stability mattered more than emotional certainty. My beloved child, she told you that when she married, she believed love could grow into whatever was missing. Perhaps she believed compatibility could be built. Perhaps everyone around her said, "You have found a good person. What else are you waiting for?" And she listened. That did not mean her husband was a terrible man. This was important. Your soulmate did not want to rewrite him as a villain simply because she had developed feelings for you. He had flaws. So did she. The marriage had problems. But she knew that blaming everything on him would be another way of escaping accountability. She told you, "He didn't force me to marry him." You asked, "Then why did you?" Her answer took time. "Because I thought choosing the safe life would eventually make me feel safe." My child, those words carried years of buried regret. She had chosen certainty on paper. A predictable future. A relationship other people understood. But somewhere along the way, she realized emotional security and emotional connection were not always the same thing. You asked, "Were you unhappy before you met me?" Yes. How long? A long time. You paused. Then why didn't you leave? My beloved child, your soulmate had asked herself that question hundreds of times. Fear. Responsibilities. Shared history. The possibility of hurting families. The uncertainty of starting over. And perhaps a part of her kept believing things would improve. She wrote, "Leaving a marriage felt like destroying an entire life, not just ending a relationship." You understood the complexity. But understanding was not the same as excusing what happened between you. You replied, "That still doesn't explain why you let me think you were single." She answered, "No. It doesn't. Then. That was my choice, and it was wrong. My child, there was something different in the way she spoke now. Before, she had always tried to make the truth less dangerous. Now she was allowing the truth to be uncomfortable. You asked. When did you realize you had feelings for me? Your soulmate remembered immediately. There had been a conversation between you. Nothing dramatic. You had listened to something she said without judging her. Perhaps she revealed a fear she rarely admitted. You did not try to fix her. You simply understood. That night she went home and found herself thinking about you. The next morning, she thought about you again. Then again. She tried calling it friendship. But eventually she knew. She told you approximately when. You calculated the timeline. So you've known for months? Yes. And every time I asked why you were pulling away, I lied. My beloved child, she did not soften it. You responded. You told me you were scared because you'd been hurt before. That was true. But incomplete. Yes. You wrote. You let me think your fear was about a past relationship. I know. When the relationship wasn't past. Your soulmate's eyes filled. Yes. There was silence. Then you asked. Have you ever cheated on your husband physically? No. She answered immediately. Never? Never. You asked. Then what do you call what happened with us? That question stopped her. She had spent months avoiding labels. She could not anymore. Emotional infidelity, she finally wrote. My child, perhaps the honesty surprised you. She continued. I crossed emotional boundaries before I admitted to myself what I was doing. This mattered. She was not asking you to pretend that because there had been no physical affair, nothing significant had happened. Feelings had developed. Secrets had been kept. Emotional intimacy had been shared. And her husband had not known. Neither had you known the full situation. Two people had been denied pieces of the truth. My beloved child, she finally saw that clearly. You asked. Do you love him? Your soulmate stared at the question. This was complicated. She cared about him. They had history. There were memories that mattered. But was she still in love with him? She could not answer immediately. You noticed the delay. That's not a difficult question if the answer is yes. She typed. I care about him deeply. You waited. Then. But I don't think I'm in love with him anymore. There it was. Your soulmate felt terrible seeing those words. Not because they were false. Because they were finally honest. You asked. Does he know that? We're beginning to talk about it. Beginning? Yes. So nothing is decided. No. My child, that answer changed the conversation. You understood something important. She was still married. She had not separated. No divorce had begun. No new future had been established. And regardless of what she felt for you, she was not free. You wrote. Then I need to tell you something. Your soulmate's heart tightened. What? I won't be your secret. She stared at the sentence. Then you continued. I won't wait in the background while you decide between two lives. My beloved child, your soulmate felt panic. This was exactly what she feared. She wanted to say, please don't leave. But she stopped. Because what you were asking was reasonable. You were not demanding she leave her husband for you. You were saying you would not participate in a hidden emotional relationship while she remained married. There was a difference. She typed. I understand. You responded. Do you? Yes. Then she added. You shouldn't have to wait while I resolve something I should have confronted before you became involved. My child, that answer softened something inside you. Not enough to erase the deception. But enough to show she finally understood your boundary. You asked. So what happens now? Your soulmate did not know. She wanted to tell you. I choose you. But suddenly she understood that making a dramatic choice in the middle of emotional chaos might repeat the same pattern that created this situation. Her marriage needed to be addressed honestly on its own terms. Not because you existed. Not because she feared losing you. Because the marriage itself required truth. She wrote. I need to decide what happens in my marriage without making you responsible for that decision. You stared at the message. Then replied. That's the first thing you've said tonight that makes me believe you're actually thinking clearly. My beloved child, she felt the sting, but she accepted it. Then you said. If your marriage is over, end it because it's over. Not because you think I'm waiting. Your soulmate understood. And if it's not over, you continued, then work on it and leave me out of the middle. Those words were painful. But clean. No manipulation. No competition. No secret triangle. Truth. Your soulmate responded. You're right. Then she added. I don't know what happens with us after this. You answered. Neither do I. And strangely, that uncertainty was more honest than everything that had come before. My child, your soulmate cried again that night. But these tears were different. She was no longer crying only because she feared losing you. She was crying because she finally understood how many lives had become tangled together because she kept postponing difficult truths. She had wanted to avoid hurting anyone. Instead, avoidance had created more pain. Her husband deserved honesty. You deserved honesty. And she needed to stop living two emotional realities. The following morning, she spoke to her husband again. This time there was no vague language. She told him. We need to decide what we're doing. He looked at her. Because of the other person? Your soulmate shook her head. No. He seemed surprised. She continued. They made me realize I can't keep avoiding what was already wrong between us. But this conversation has to be about us. My beloved child, that distinction mattered. Her husband sat quietly. Then he asked. If that person disappeared tomorrow, would you still feel unhappy here? Your soulmate's heart stopped for a moment. That was the question. If you vanished completely, would the problems inside the marriage remain? She thought about it. Yes. Her husband looked down. Perhaps he had known. Perhaps he had felt the distance too. Then he said, "I think I knew that." Silence. There was no dramatic shouting. No instant decision. Just two people finally looking at something they had both avoided. They discussed separation. Not as a threat. As a real possibility. Your soulmate felt terrified. But also strangely honest. "My child," later that day she wanted to message you. She wanted to tell you everything. "We talked. We may separate." I told him the truth. But she remembered your boundary. You were not going to sit in the background receiving daily updates while she figured out her marriage. So she did something difficult. She remained quiet. Days passed. You wondered whether she had disappeared again. But this silence was different. Before, silence was avoidance. Now she was respecting the boundary you had set. Then, several days later, you received one message. "I won't ask you to wait. I only want you to know that I'm doing what I should have done long before I met you, facing my life honestly." You read it. No promise. No request. No pressure. You answered. Good. Just one word. "But my beloved child," your soulmate smiled through tears. Because for the first time, she was not trying to pull you into the chaos. She was trying to clean up the truth she should have confronted herself. Weeks began passing. The conversations inside her marriage became deeper. There were painful admissions from both sides. And then something unexpected happened. Her husband revealed something. They were sitting together discussing why their marriage had become emotionally empty when he suddenly said, "There is something you don't know either." Your soulmate looked at him. What? He became nervous. "I've been keeping something from you." My child, your soulmate almost laughed at the painful irony. After everything she had hidden, now her husband had a secret too. She asked. "For how long?" He looked away. "Before we got married." Your soulmate became completely still. "Before the marriage? What are you talking about?" Her husband took a long breath. Then said, "You remember how quickly everything moved back then?" Of course she remembered. Families had become involved. Plans moved quickly. Everyone seemed convinced the marriage was right. Your soulmate had gone along with it despite uncertainty. Yes. Her husband continued. There was a reason everyone was pushing so hard. Your soulmate frowned. What reason? He looked at her with an expression she had never seen before. Then he mentioned someone from her past. A person she had once cared about deeply. Someone she believed had disappeared from her life because they no longer wanted her. My beloved child, your soulmate's heart began pounding. What do they have to do with our marriage? Her husband hesitated. Then said. They tried to contact you before the wedding. Your soulmate stopped breathing. What? They sent something. Her hands became cold. What did they send? A letter. She stood. A letter? Yes. Where is it? Her husband looked down. And the next words changed everything she believed about the beginning of her marriage. I never gave it to you. My beloved child, your soulmate stared at him in disbelief. Years earlier, someone she had loved had apparently tried to reach her before she married. A letter existed. A letter she had never seen. And her husband had known. She whispered. What did it say? He did not answer. What did it say? Finally, he looked at her. They asked you not to marry me. Your soulmate felt the room disappear around her. Her husband continued. They said there had been a misunderstanding. They said they still loved you. And they wanted one chance to explain everything before the wedding. My child, tears filled your soulmate's eyes. All those years ago, she had believed that person abandoned her. That belief had influenced her decision to choose the safer life. The marriage. And now she was discovering that the story may never have been true. But there was one detail even more shocking. Your soulmate asked. Who gave you the letter? Her husband became silent. Then he said a name. And my beloved child, your soulmate recognized it instantly. It was someone still connected to her life today. Someone who knew about you. Someone who had recently warned her that you might discover the marriage. And suddenly she realized the secret surrounding her marriage did not begin when she met you. It had begun years earlier. Someone had interfered with the most important decision of her life once before. And now that same person appeared to be standing dangerously close to the connection she had with you.